გადაცემა Stalin ისტორიით Malkhaz Gulashvilთან ერთად.
Greetings, dear viewers and radio listeners. You are watching and listening to the television and radio company Georgian Times. This is the program In Stalin's Time. I am your host, Malkhaz Gulashvili, and today our guests are Mr. Nugzar Bardavelidze, Doctor of Historical Sciences, Mr. Edisher Gvenetadze, Doctor of Historical Sciences, and Mr. Grigol Oniani, founder of the organization Stalinists, and as they say, only 5 minutes away from earning a doctorate. Why was Khrushchev most afraid of Stalin even after his death? Why did Soviet leaders stop mentioning the Generalissimo in public spaces, parades, and official speeches? The man who destroyed fascism in the world. Why does the president of Russia continue the established tradition and avoid mentioning Stalin's name even on May 9th as the victorious leader? And why does the mere mention of Stalin's name still frighten leaders in many countries around the world today? Today's program will be dedicated to all these issues. We will also discuss Stalin and modern politics, contemporary world politics, and the storming of Berlin. Let me introduce our interactive poll. Why does Stalin's name still frighten the leaders of many countries today? 1, because of his genius. 2, difficult to answer. 3, because of their own weakness. Please cast your vote. Many thanks to everyone watching and listening to us on YouTube, Facebook, television, radio, and various other platforms. I especially want to address our YouTube audience because our strategic development depends heavily on YouTube. Subscribe to TV Georgian, our main Georgian language channel, and also subscribe to TV Georgian Times International, where translated materials in Russian and English are published. Share them with your friends and don't forget to like this program. Now we begin with a very interesting video segment related to a speech by Yakov Kedmi in Russia, where he essentially accused modern Russia of failing to mention the main architect of victory, the man who effectively created the great Soviet Union.
In general, Russia is an astonishing country. There is not a single country in the world today that loves trampling its own history into the dirt as much as Russia does, throwing mud at it, wiping its feet on it. In your entire history, there has not been a single ruler whom you have not slandered, disgraced, accused of every possible sin and turned into a demonized figure. Not a single one. Even among the Jews, you do not see anything like that. That is the first reason. The second reason is that you do not approach history seriously at all. What was this history? Whose history was it? The history of your country 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? It is constantly adjusted to fit ideology or propaganda. That is how it was, and that is how it still is. Of course, in such conditions, you will never know the truth. And then people ask why the nation loves Stalin so much. Stalin was the last statesman who truly cared about his country. After him, there were no such people. He absolutely did not care about personal interests, personal wealth, or personal comfort. You had no one like him afterward. And whenever people discuss Stalin, they always focus on one or another of his actions. Stalin was a cruel man, but cruelty was not his ultimate goal. It was a tool. He did not find another method. Could he have found another one? Was there an alternative to Stalin or not? Who was the alternative? Trotsky? Trotsky did not care about Russia at all. And if we are talking about cruelty, then compared to Trotsky, Stalin was like a little child, yes. But I am saying that Trotsky was simply pathological. And I'm speaking specifically about the alternative. Trotsky did not care about Russia, and 90% of the Bolsheviks did not care about Russia either, regardless of their origin. Even the Russian ones did not care. Stalin turned out to be the only one for whom Russia truly mattered, a Georgian seminarian, yet he loved Russia in his own way. He simply did not find other methods. Were there other methods? I do not know. Everyone criticizes Stalin, but how would you have transformed illiterate Russia, an intelligentsia that despised its own people and did not want to know them, a nation of serfs, and a tiny layer of intellectuals who knew French and German but did not care about Russian at all? How could something powerful be built from such a country in the world that emerged in the 20th century? Everyone reproaches Stalin for what he did with collectivization and the peasants. But if he had not done it, what would the Soviet Union have fought with in 1941? A peasant is a peasant. What did Stalin say? We gave the peasant money, but he does not give us bread. Because he was a peasant, grounded, attached to the land, and Stalin had no other method. If someone can say that there was another way to industrialize the country, at that time, under those conditions, with those people, and with that government, then let them say it. Could there have been another government? No, there could not. There could not have been democracy in Russia at that time. It existed nowhere. And when people say the nation should have been free, an illiterate people cannot be truly free. Slaves in the first generation cannot become free immediately. That is why Russia had the kind of government that was capable of holding the country together. If there had been another government, there would have been no Russia.
Thank you. We have just listened to Yakov Kedmi's speech. Mr. Edisher, you have spoken about these issues for many years, so let me ask you this. Why do many world leaders avoid mentioning Stalin today? Is it because of his genius, because of their own weakness, or is there another reason entirely? Even Putin, who presides over the victory parade, hides military equipment and speaks of threats and possible attacks, while Stalin, on November 7th, 1941, held a parade from which military units marched directly to war with their equipment. What is happening? Why do they deliberately avoid mentioning Stalin? Is there some kind of Khrushchevist, Trotskyist tendency behind this? And why do they constantly target Georgia at its own expense?
Greetings, Mr. Malkhaz, greetings to the guests in the studio, and greetings to the audience. In one word, fear, 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 and more fear. Fear of the idea he left behind. And that idea is social equality. That is precisely why everything happening today is happening. Putin is a representative of the bourgeoisie. Trump is also a representative of the bourgeoisie. All of them represent capitalist and imperialist states. Surely no one believes that Putin does not want to mention Stalin's name or that he does not know who Stalin was. Of course they know very well. The people organizing these parades and ceremonies know perfectly well who Stalin was. But they fear the phenomenon he left behind. They fear the idea he left behind, that this idea may rise again. That is why they behave this way. At the same time, they place themselves in a ridiculous position. As you correctly mentioned, on November 7th, 1941, Stalin held a parade, delivered a speech, and spoke words that history will never forget. Some people may accuse us of being Stalinists, but that is not the main point. The main point is that Stalin was a historical figure. History demands great personalities when the proper time arrives. The same was true of Alexander the Great, who played a tremendous role in creating Hellenistic culture. No one can erase that from history. The same applies to Napoleon Bonaparte. Mr. Kedmi also mentioned Napoleon. In many ways, Napoleon laid the foundations of European law. Stalin brought forth the idea that social justice should come to the forefront and that people should feel that one day there could exist a state based on social justice. But this was extremely difficult to achieve. Why? Because at the head of such a system, there had to stand an ascetic individual, someone who would not become corrupted by greed and moral decay as many political elites around the world do today. Look at the accusations being made against political leaders in France, Spain, America, and elsewhere. Now let someone tell me in the current wars which president's son has gone to the front lines. That man had an idea, and that is exactly why they fear him. This idea will exist as long as humanity exists. Neither Putin nor Trump can erase it. For 73 years, they have fought against it endlessly, yet the more they fight it, the stronger it becomes. This is a battle against windmills.
This is also the fate of every Christian. The more they are fought against, the stronger they become.
And if I remember correctly, in one of your programs, you said something remarkable, that not mentioning Stalin on May 9th is the same as not mentioning Christ on Easter.
Exactly. I completely agree with you.